Hello there, friends. Today I'll be reading an article from the HBR series on self-awareness. Here's the book. I always love to show the book before I start reading. This article may be helpful to some of you who want to have a conversation to improve yourself and having a little bit of difficulty getting the right type of feedback. The name of the article is How to Solicit Negative Feedback When Your Manager Doesn't Want to Give It. It is written by Deborah Grayson Riegel. I will share a little bit about Deborah and then we'll read through her advice. Deborah Grayson Riegel is a principal at the Bodar Group, a leadership and team development firm. She also teaches management communication at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business. Wonderful. So, let's begin. How to solicit negative feedback when your manager doesn't want to give it. In my role as a leadership coach, I consistently hear my clients say that they crave negative feedback from their managers in order to improve their jobs, grow their careers, and achieve better business results. However, when it comes to soliciting negative feedback, they find that their managers would rather dismiss, deny, or delay it, rather than speak directly, truthfully, and immediately about what isn't working and what needs to change. Now that makes sense when you consider what may be a risk when giving and receiving negative feedback. In her article, How to Give Negative Feedback When Your Organization is Nice, my colleague, Jennifer Porter, cites barriers to giving negative feedback that may include hurt feelings, a desire to maintain professionalism rather than having things get messy, a lack of role models for giving negative feedback, the prospect of an emotional outburst, and not wanting to jeopardize the nice culture that's been cultivated in the company. Additional research from University of California professors Naomi Eisenberger and Matthew Lieberman and Purdue University professor Kipling D. Williams shows that negative feedback can be experienced as a form of social rejection. You're telling me I'm not good enough and that I don't belong here is one frequent interpretation, and that social rejection hurts emotionally and physically. I'll share the reference to what Deborah mentions here. That is from Naomi Eisenberger and Matthew Lieberman and Kipling Williams. Does Rejection Hurt? Article was published in Science, October 2003. So quite some years ago, but the dynamic is still the same. Continuing. Nevertheless, when people don't receive useful negative feedback, they can't grow. According to authors Jack Zenger and Joseph Folkman in their article, Your Employees Want the Negative Feedback You Hate to Give, when asked what was most helpful in their careers, 72% of respondents attributed performance improvement to getting negative feedback from their managers. The same study also showed that managers were reluctant to give negative feedback. Now, the name of that study by Jack Zenger and Joseph Folkman was entitled Your Employees Want the Negative Feedback You Hate to Give, Harvard Business Review, January 2014. By the way, if you hear some crunching in the background, it's my dog walking around and eating. Anyway, continuing. Bill Gates agrees. We all need people who will give us feedback. That's how we improve. So what do you do if you know that negative feedback is what you need to succeed and nobody's talking? Stop asking for negative feedback. You've already tried that, right? And try one of these creative approaches instead. Deborah now goes on to list 4 tips that we can try to solicit this negative feedback. I'll run through the tips 1 through 4, and then we'll go into them one by one. First one, give yourself negative feedback first. Tip number 2, make self-improvement a personal commitment and ask for help. Number 3, reframe negative feedback as a learning opportunity. And number 4, preemptively minimize the impact of the negative feedback. Let's go into those in more detail and understand what she really means. Number 1, give yourself negative feedback first. According to Wharton professor and author Adam Grant, when people shy away from giving constructive feedback, it's often because they're afraid of hurting your feelings. But if they hear you talk about what you did wrong, the fear melts away. Start by saying something like, I know that I tend to work too quickly and sometimes overlook important details. I'd like to get better at that. Do you have any thoughts on how I could improve? And then, once you have them talking, you can ask, and is there anything else I could be working to improve right now? I mean, Deborah is right. We all know when we are making small mistakes. But the second point she raised is that once you get them talking, you can get some great insights into things that you may be unaware of completely. Advice number 2 from Deborah. Make self-improvement a personal commitment and ask for help. If directly soliciting negative feedback isn't working, tell your manager that you've made a commitment to yourself to improve in 3 areas this year, and that you'd like her feedback on what 1 or more of those should be. Ask, would you please help me keep the commitment I've made to myself? That way, she can view her feedback as more about helping you make good on a promise and less about hurting your feelings. Number 3, reframe negative feedback as a learning opportunity. If your manager, colleague, or client is reticent to offer negative feedback directly, ask, what is something you think I could learn from you? It gives the other person a chance to reflect on their own talents and skills, which makes most people feel good, and share their thinking about where they can help you grow in a non-threatening context. If you're really lucky, they might even ask you, and what is something you think I could learn from you? And then you get to give some gentle negative feedback too. I suppose it depends on the person that you're soliciting the feedback from, but it is conversational. It is a back and forth. So hopefully when you do take these tips to heart and have some of these conversations, you're able to improve not only yourself, but others as well. And ultimately the entire dynamic and company or client relationship. Lastly, number 4, preemptively minimize the impact of the negative feedback. When people are willing to give negative feedback, they often couch it as just one little thing. It's not a big deal, to minimize the impact. You can do that yourself by asking, if I could change one small habit, what should it be? And that signals to the other person that they don't have to minimize, to apologize, or put negative feedback in context to make it palatable for you. You've already done it. You've already minimized it. Concluding, Deborah says, managers should be able to give negative feedback, but even if they don't, you need to learn how to solicit it so that you get the information you need to grow in your job and career. That was the article. Thank you.